All right. So, I gotta mute some channels here. Audio is working. I can confirm.
Mhm. All good.
Um, yeah. So here's our open session for our community open session for real time. And today, as was per planned, Tom Oliver has joined us to have a little chat. We're gonna have probably around AI. I'm just gonna assume, but I don't really. It's not meant to be an interrogation. It's just meant to be a chat, casual chat between us.
Oh, I was hoping we'd be knives at dawn, ready to fight the claws.
Yeah. We're gonna see who wins this battle at the end of the day. Um, let me fix the layout a little bit there. But actually, I was thinking the first thing we could talk about, and hopefully some students will jump in and we'll be able to share a bit of a wider spread of opinions and thoughts. But
Mhm.
I just needed to, I was thinking we could talk more about, I don't know who you are very well because I've only ever been in like 2 meetings with you before. So maybe we could get a little bit more understanding of what your background is and what your role is at CG Spectrum so that we get a good introduction going.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't really know what I am in terms of like at CG Spectrum because it changes so quickly. I am a programmer though, like outside of the job here. Like I program things, I program games. I guess I don't really know how you view programmers from the outside though. So internally, if I talk to other programmers, they'll say, "Great, you're a programmer of what?" Um, like, and I'll immediately be like, "Okay, I'm a mathematician first. That's my first love is maths." But yeah, I've been teaching for like, oh God, how many years? 7, nearly 8 years now.
Okay.
Before that, ran an indie studio, doing contract work mostly, so there's nothing actually released. As with most indie studios, right? You start a project and you never finish it because you need to fill the fridge. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, that's mostly it. I'd like to undersell it, but
Right. Well, maybe we'll
yeah,
find little tidbits to be able to reach into to find
sure,
out what
sure.
those indie titles were and what kind of stuff you were working on.
Yeah,
But I
I
didn't
mean,
realize you were teaching for 7 years. That's you've been around for a while doing this stuff.
yes, yeah. I'm younger than I look, but still quite a lot of teaching experience. Uh,
It's good.
yeah,
It's good from
as
that.
part of it though, it's um, well, I guess I got brought into teaching by a friend of mine, and it was like a part-time gig. I didn't really expect to stay in it for as long as I have, but there was a moment, and I always remember this like really vividly. It was coming up to Christmas time, and there was a student that I'd spent a while making sure that they understood something about the course. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think they were learning C# at the time. I think it was part of a computer science course that I was helping out with. And I gave them some extra time in the sessions. The room was free afterwards, so I was like, anyone that wants to stay, happy to help out. Um, and he gave me a Christmas card that was like, "Thank you for all your help. I passed this module because of you." And I was like, "No." That moment like really stuck with me and just sort of suckered me into teaching. That's why I'm here.
Reward.
Um, Yes. Well, yeah, there's the vainglorious gratification of other people loving you. That's the
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I do a lot of volunteer work for that gratification too, so I totally get what
yeah,
you're saying there. That's right.
yeah. Um,
Um,
that's what I meant.
that's great. And so specifically, what's the department that you're covering so that we can make sure that gets clarified?
Sure. So I'm games programming essentially, but I do game design as well. But games programming is my first love and everything I'm in charge of here at CG.
Right. Yes. Games programming is, and so specifically games programming in C++, or is it?
In Well, at CG, it's C++. It will eventually include some C# through a Unity pathway, maybe.
Right. Okay.
The content's been made. It's offered through design already, so it hopefully will be a track that's shared. But yeah, mostly C++, and the occasional bit of shader language because it's virtually the same thing.
Oh, shader language, really? Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Some HLSL stuff.
Nice. Okay, we got a couple people joining here. We got Stan, and Aliana is going to join here, which are our regulars. Hey, welcome. So that's good to see. Maybe we'll get some more over time. But yeah, so we just did a little intro for Tom, making sure everybody knows that he's in the programming department for CG Spectrum, and he's been actually teaching for 7 years, and then had some development experience prior to that. So he's been around for a while, even though he's really new to CG Spectrum. And usually our worlds don't really mix and match very much, but because now the umbrella of game development includes us all, we're getting a lot more time to spend finding out what we're doing and sharing sort of the challenges between the departments and trying to figure out where we are. So this is kind of a nice opportunity here where we get to talk about some of the stuff that game development on the two extremes, I would say. You got the programming and the real time.
To make it look pretty, I'll make it work. That's the
yeah, that's right. You got the logic and the aesthetics. So it's kind of cool that we're doing this session, and I meant to have these open sessions as a place where maybe we could talk to a lot of different people from different departments and share across different disciplines, especially in terms of how they relate or sometimes contrast with workflows within Unreal Engine and that kind of thing. But this was kind of a spontaneous decision to do this particular session because we weren't really long-term planning it. But on Monday, I brought up an interesting thing that I read over the weekend, which was related to programming and AI. And I felt that it was quite shocking to read it. And I brought it up in our umbrella meeting there for the game development, and Tom had lots of opinions. And then the idea was expressed to be like, hey, we should do this in the open session and then share it along with everyone else and see what other kind of thoughts and opinions we could bring up in that area. Oh, we got a couple more people.
Mildly heated.
Yeah. It might get heated. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty neutral, to be honest. I don't have a strong opinion one way or another. But
I see. He knows he's going to lose the argument. That's
yeah. Oh, those fighting words. So we got a couple more people joining here. This is great. We have a nice crowd. So if anyone has anything they want to chat about, feel free to, it's like open mic. You can definitely bring up some questions or bring up some topics, especially now that we have, the opportunity to ask Tom about programming and what kind of challenges he has. But to
Sting
get to
Sting could just continue his session from earlier today.
Oh, really? Did you guys, you guys were already talking
one of my
about
students.
Nice. I like how that connects. So the main topic that, let me get to the point of the meat of what we're trying to talk about here, was I read this article over the weekend that the creator of the programmer that created the Claude code is saying that he's now using 100% of his code is being generated by AI, and he's not actually required to. He doesn't need to write code anymore. He just keeps developing it through the AI system. And my first impression on that was, like, I have a lot of skepticism because obviously this is a very biased opinion. He's probably made $1 billion because he made this statement. But I think it's also very interesting because Claude is well known for its ability to program code well. And I have another link here that shows sort of some of the software engineering, and it shows that, like, of all the different choices, it does actually perform more accurately than the competitors for AI. So there is this deep down thought or concern that, what will happen if this becomes 100% and it becomes writing perfect code. But knowing enough about Gen AI, that is kind of a pipe dream, unless, there's some magical solution. But the fact that he's practicing the idea of using 100% code and he's seeing some success of it is shocking. I don't know, and surprising. But I was going to see what Tom and whatever else in this room has to think about that in terms of their actual experience programming, because I don't actually, the kind of programming I do is definitely not enough to be able to justify my opinion one way or another. So I don't know, Tom, what are you thinking? What's your first impression when you saw this article?
So I am, spoiler alert, on the camp of okay, for me personally, I don't think I see myself ever using AI to code, because why would I take the fun out of it? But for production, it's different. It's about getting the product finished. But even for that, I can't see how the reliance on AI can be, what's the word? Should have come better formulated for this.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't see how the reliance on AI can be sort of trusted to that level, right?
Yes.
There was Salesforce. So I did look up a couple of examples before this. Salesforce in September of 2025 took the same approach. So they saw the wave of what was happening, and they were like, we're going to fire 4,000 developers. Or was it 400? 4 with a couple of zeros. It was a
Right.
lot. It was basically most of their development team, and replaced them with AI. And then it was December the 4th that they put out that same number of people they fired as new job roles that they were hiring for. They didn't say that they'd given up on the AI approach, but they very clearly said, oh, we fired all these people, we need to hire them back. And nobody was applying for those jobs, because why would you? They clearly just showed that they would get rid of you at the drop of a hat.
Nice.
So it's been trialed. Obviously, things move on very quickly. That was only in December, though, so 3 months ago.
Really? Wow. So early.
I wonder. Well, first off, has Anthropic? When was this posted? This was January 24th. Yeah, I loaded it up while you were talking. But look at the Anthropic. That's the company that he runs. For those of you who don't know, look at the share price. Right, he says that, and it spikes up a lot. It went up by a little over $100 in a moment.
Wow.
So part of that, like him saying he's using his own product and he uses it 100%, that level of trust that he's projecting is obviously a business decision in some extent. If it wasn't, he wouldn't tell people about it.
Yeah.
Right. As you said, he's obviously biased. It's his product. But enough nitpicking on that, right? It's just the general idea of AI. I think the big reason that most people trust in what AI says, or have this sort of fantasy about AI and its abilities, is because they don't understand what it's actually doing, right? It gives a good enough facsimile of a correct answer most of the time, to the point where people believe that it really is thinking, but it isn't, right? The whole basically everybody I know that knows how to make neural networks. I'm not a person who's made a lot of neural networks in my time. I'm not professing to be an expert in the subject at all, but the people that I do know that have programmed in AI for quite a long time don't trust AI. I mean, some of the programmers that I know are the most tech phobic people in the world, because they know how it works and they don't want to be anywhere near it. The whole idea of an LLM is this idea that it's not actually thinking in the way that we would conceive thinking, right? There's no train of thought, there's no context, there's nothing beyond what we would call first order reasoning, where it's really just looking at the words that have happened already in that sentence that it may have put together, and it's saying, well, normally when I say these words, I say that word next and I get praised for it. And then I'll say this word next and I get praised for that. And it does that until it hits, oh, normally I say about that many words, and that's a good enough answer and I get good praise for that. It doesn't know what it's saying. There's no reasoning behind what it's saying. It's just repeating verbatim based on its training set. And it's like, well, sure. Could you classify normal intelligence as that? And for some people, sure, that might be all you need, right? It's someone to just give you the average answer, which is all it's really doing, right?
True.
But for a lot of problems, especially in the coding world, you need bespoke solutions. So the question really is, do you want an average solution that is the average of what everyone thinks is a solution with no context for your problem? Or do you want a bespoke solution for exactly what your problem is? And most of the time in programming, it's a bespoke solution. That's the reason we program. If that wasn't needed, you'd be picking stuff off the shelf and being like, oh, these two things, plug them together. There you go. There's the solution. And sometimes that does work. But then why do you need AI? Because it's already been made. It's a bit of a, if you go down the route of needing the code because no one's written it yet, you're better off writing it yourself, because you have second order reasoning and you can understand the context and you can understand how to build it so that people in the future can maintain it. If you want something that's off the shelf and quick to produce, it's already been made. You don't need AI for that. It's just a download and run, right? They're the two camps, and there's not really anything in between. So that's my quick overview of it. I could go into more detail if you want, but that's
well,
where I sit on it. Yeah, it's also the fun, right? As a programmer, why would I want the AI to do the bit that I find fun?
now that's
Well, I
interesting
don't need it.
because I actually struggle with programming in terms of enjoying the process. I find communicating through a language to accomplish a goal is really struggling. I mean, I'm not programming with C++. I'm mostly with Python and JavaScript and basically building tools in that sense. But I find that that's a frustrating experience. So finding ways like blueprints and things like that to be able to accomplish the tasks is much more appealing for me. And not that I don't I like making things. So the creative side of it is definitely a nice aspect. It's programming gives you the freedom to invent things however you want. And I think when you get to C++, you're pretty much like down on the ground building it from the core. So
from your perspective, that's what C++ is. From my perspective at C++, that's like assembly language programmers.
Right.
They're the people.
When I said that, I was thinking,
they're the layer below, and then behind that is the people that hand roll like binary.
Right. To me, that sounds incredibly painful.
It is.
That's not. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all. That's when you need a computer to help you through that. But
yeah.
But I do find that, like, I really like being enabled, and I think that was one thing that I found really frustrating about the earlier versions of Unreal is because every time you'd want to do something, you'd have to go talk to a programmer, and they could like open that door for you, and you're like, so you have to communicate it, and it's not a great idea because you're still trying to figure it out.
These people, oh my god!
I know, yeah. Well, because it would be interpreted with bias, right? So you're like, I want to do this, and they're like, I think that's stupid, so I'm not going to do it, and you're like, so.
You need to find better programmers as well.
Yeah.
Probably still say the same.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that their time is worth stuff too. But it was frustrating. So when Unreal 4 came out and you could do blueprints, and I was like, oh man, that unlocks your ability to actually experiment and try this is what programmers can do. But bring it a different skill. So anyway, the point being, the idea of being able to make programming easier is an appealing thing to me, but your point wasn't really about that. It was more about, if you're going to make something, you have to make sure that you can do it that is actually going to be interesting or at least appropriate for the situation, right? It's context.
Yeah.
I want.
It's based entirely on how that AI has been trained as well. So neural nets, like when people say, oh, we don't know how they think, that technically is true, but like obviously we know what the construction of the pieces are that put them together. We just don't know what values they've landed on as bias values on their connections internally. So they do work quite similar to how the human brain works, but a fractional piece of our brain, like the biggest version of like whatever ChatGPT, I call it Jippity, but whichever ChatGPT version we're up to.
Nice.
Is what's his name? The guy that came up with Jippity? I can't remember. Either way, it's like a tiny piece of a human brain, but the construction is very similar. So it's like synapses that fire based on impulse response. So when the threshold value gets high enough, they then fire, and they have a weighting, so they then pass that impulse on to the next set of synapses. And it's just this big interconnected web. The training process is the neural net working out internally what sort of balance of weightings on each synapse gives me the best reward output. Based on, I give an output, it gets verified, and I get a reward back. And it makes like millions and millions of little tweaks, and it checks how much closer it got to a reward each time. So it can work out how much change on each axis effectively, because every single synapse gives you a new dimension of thought, is the like fancy way of putting it. So every little change takes you closer to or further away from a reward, so it can work out how to then send itself along that path to speed up the process. It's called gradient descent, is the process of training like that. There's some calculus involved. It sounds very fancy. It's actually not that difficult, but whatever. It's just that's the thing with neural nets. Nothing about them is actually that difficult to produce. They're just big. They're just really, really big. That's all they are. And it's like the IQ tests, right? You know about the IQ tests and the way that they choose the questions for them. Like there's no one that sits there. Oh, okay, so IQ tests. No one sits there and goes, this question is like a 4-star difficulty, and it will weed out the people between this IQ and that IQ. They haven't done that. They just get a massive sample of people to do a massive sample of questions. And then based on how many people complete the questions and the speed of completion, they can work out how difficult the questions are based on how quickly people finish them. So it's sort of everything on a bell curve. It's all averaged out against a massive sample of people. And the more people you use, the more accurate your returns for how difficult these questions are. You can then use that to then test more people with those same questions, knowing how difficult they are, to then rank those people. But that means that your IQ is based on how you rank against the test group of people, right? Which is just like the answer out of an AI being used as like, oh, this is a high ranking answer against the test set of data. So if your test data is wrong, or your test set of people all don't know very much, or they're all super geniuses, it's going to completely skew your results. So the solution is just to get more, right? Get more data, get more people involved, and we'll get more accuracy. But there's a fall off with that, in that it takes more time to work out where the questions should sit. With more people, you need more questions as well. Because you need to start then dealing with other variables, like what if certain people are more predisposed to answering certain things well as opposed to others. And all this variance creeps in. The more people you get, the more the trends start to form patterns which cause error, which is the problem. So, and the same is true for the training data for these AIs, right? We're up to billions and billions of input files and just nuts amounts of data being fed into these things in the hope that it will make it smarter. But it's diminishing returns. The more you feed in, the less benefit you get from that, and the more error you introduce, because the variance creates patterns, the patterns create variance, and with that scale, things compound very quickly. So there's this sort of plateau effect. There's also the shell theory on top of that, where because this works like a human brain, and every relation that you have between two pieces of information creates a new dimension or a new spectrum of possible results, right, between the two extremes of thought in some relation. Because that creates a new dimension. This is going to get kind of technical and weird, but this is my maths brain. Every new relation you add creates a new dimension, and when you think of more dimensions, you can't think of more dimensions, but we have this concept of a hypersphere, right? It is a sphere that exists in more dimensional space than we can possibly perceive. When you've got that, all the data tends towards the edge of the sphere. It ends up in the shell of the sphere, hence the name, the shell theory. And when everything ends up on the shell, well, it's 90%, and it tends towards the, because it's done via a bell curve, but in dimensions, things square. So it ends up being 99% of all data ends up on the edge. And when everything's on the edge of a sphere in multiple dimensions, everything is equal distant from each other. So you might as well not have any categorization. Right, the more data you feed in, the less accuracy it can give you back, because the bigger the field and the more vectors you're using to test it with. So everything ends up being equal distance from everything else. And the way that an AI thinks is by looking at relations between points of information that it knows, or I say knows, things that it's categorized, right? It's very good at doing, well, they should be very good at doing categorization. That's what they were initially planned for. Because we can do, you write something and it can tell what you've written, right? It looks at all the pixels in the image that you've given it and goes, oh, you've written an A, or you've written a B with your handwriting. It's categorization. But if there are no categories, because everything's equal distance, it can't do that. So the more likely it is to hallucinate and just give you random garbage responses that mean nothing or are just wrong. Or in worst case, they're not garbage, they're not garbled. They look like real speech, but they are just incorrect.
You had a link for this, and I'm trying to find it.
Yes, the shell theory is the thing you want to look up. It is the most mathematically dense research paper I think I've ever read. So I was going to try and find a nice, like, concise version of it for you.
Right.
Yeah, that's specifically to do with essay writing. So they've used an LLM there to. Is this that one? So this is the effect. This is the other thing I've got a problem with for AI, not for programming, but this is just for humanity, right?
Okay.
The more you use AI, the more you're outsourcing your thinking, and the more you outsource your thinking, the less you're training your own brain to think. So the worse you get at thinking. It's a muscle like everything else. The more you use it, the better it gets. And if you're just using AI, you're not using it. And this study from MIT essentially tested that. They had groups of people write essays. They had some people use ChatGPT for the whole thing. They had some people use their own, they had ChatGPT to just search for things so they could find information and then use that, but they weren't allowed to search the actual internet to check, to verify any of it. And then they had some other people do it all themselves manually, as you're supposed to. They have brain scans in there, I think, as well, to show brain activity before and after, although that can be slightly skewed. So I wouldn't trust that 100%. It needs further studies to see how that actually affects long term. But they saw, I think it's a 26% drop in your immediate cognitive ability after using ChatGPT for an extended period of time. And they class extended as 2 weeks. So again, not long term.
And I love the meta awareness in the paper. It has instructions on how to read this paper as a human, and instructions on how to read it as an LLM.
Yes.
Oh, really? Really? Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, this is quite the article. I mean, holy
scientific
cow.
research is already, but I mean, science is a process, though, right? This is the initial finding. It might be that there's a slump, and then people using ChatGPT start absorbing all that information. It's like, oh, there's an initial drop, but then whoa, you rocket off into the sky. We don't know. I'm calling unlikely on that, but who knows? Yeah, more research. Do it again with more people.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that this wasn't actually the thing you were talking about, because I thought I remember seeing images of the shell thing that you were talking about before, and I thought that was what I was finding, but
I think those are brain scans.
Yeah, these are like not the shell, but I was like, oh, this isn't what I was visualizing. But yeah, I think it makes a good point about like just the concept of, you know, even just utilizing it and not thinking for yourself. And this definitely goes towards with programming, where, you know, if you don't really understand what it is that's being spit out there, or how to read it, or how to write it, and how to manipulate it, I mean, you're just going to blindly throw all kinds of garbage out there and hope that it doesn't do things that you didn't expect it to do, like, you know, disable your firewall and distribute all your security stuff to certain,
which is more likely than you might think, because there's yet another thing with AI called poisoning that's very easy to do, it turns out. So there was a theory when what was it called? When it was the Bitcoin surge, I think. Everyone was like, what if you owned 51% of the network? Then you would own Bitcoin if you had all the servers. And it's like, yeah, potentially you would. And they thought that wouldn't be a problem because we're outsourcing it to so many people. No one's going to own 51%. And they're right. Enough people did get on board, and it was fine-ish. But fine enough.
Right.
Then the same principle was put to AI. Like, if you train on bad data, you're training it the wrong information, and you can train it on malicious information as well. Where, let's say somebody looks for how to write a login server. They're like, I need a login server. I don't know how to write one. I'm going to ask ChatGPT for one. Okay. If they ask it, write me a login server. I'm using Vercel. I'm doing like all these other things. I've got this backend. Make it work with that. They go to Claude or something like that. They let it loose on their project for some reason. And it then creates them a login server. But all the information that it was trained on for login servers that included those keywords and those setup and everything also included all the code to give a backdoor to a certain IP address. If it ever tried to connect, just let it through. Or anytime anyone registered an account through this page, it would also send a copy to another server and delete the log that it's done it. Something like that.
That was the poisoning part.
Yes, that's the poisoning part. The way that would end up in the training set is if obviously enough people put that malicious code into the training set, and you'd think, okay, well, it's got to be over 51% of the results. It doesn't really, because we're dealing with relational data. All you have to do, at least from the study that I'll have to find the link to this one. It was on there was a Primogen video I was watching a while ago that included it, but it was about 250 pages of GitHub repos, like separate repos with separate files in them, just one file that had the login data and had what the expected prompt was at the top. They put it on GitHub. They paid for stars on GitHub because nobody uses the stars on GitHub. They're a way of saying, like, I approve of this repo. This is a good bit of code. I agree with this. No one pays any attention to that system, but it exists. And the people training the specific model that they were using had used those stars as a way of adding importance to certain bits of data, and they were just scraping information off the internet, just the worldwide internet. It's like, if we're looking at average data, would you trust Reddit with your like knowledge? Like this,
Right.
we're looking at the average. That's the biggest source of information, and it's so hungry for more information, they'll just take anything. So they added 250 pages with this. It wasn't malicious. It was a nonsense command, so that they could be sure that it was their input that was affecting the output. So it was like a pseudo whatever command, and then they asked it to finish the code for that function, and it returned their prompts from their articles. I think it was about 2 out of 10 times, which is like, yeah, okay, it's not a lot, but that is actually a huge amount if you think of the thousands and thousands of people that would be searching for this in the future. If it becomes commonplace, 20% is huge.
Yeah.
It only has to be done once, and then suddenly your information's out there on the internet. And if you're one of those people that doesn't use a different password for every website, if your passwords are under 140 characters and they're not stored in in the audio files as like stereographics, but you've not done some crazy encryption, then your information's out there, and it's out there forever at that point. And you've given it away without knowing it. And the people that made the code wouldn't have known that it's in there, and they won't know that there's a leak. It will just happen because they've trusted everything and they haven't checked it.
That's cool.
So that's the worry.
And you're bringing up a scenario where it has some sort of logic to it, so that you can see. But like, this is true for anything that we do, all the stuff we type that we use it for. It's the same principle, where you get like randomness that could be maliciously put in. But with programming, it's like, oh, you've just destroyed your company.
And I want to be clear, I don't hate AI as a topic. I just don't like the over-reliance on LLMs as a form of AI. I think in future, there definitely could be a form of AI that we could see as like, oh, this is now the programmer. Because it's an entirely academic pursuit. So it's possible that could be completely replaced. And that's fine. That's okay. But it's not going to come from LLMs, not in my eyes. The method of creating them and the way in which they exist limits them, but it doesn't limit them on the surface. It limits them in a core way, which is dangerous, I think, with the trust they've been given.
Yeah, and the upselling that's been going on to try and make you think that it's much better than it is, or it will be better tomorrow. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to fix this problem tomorrow. Don't worry.
More data.
Yeah, we've got a plan. We're going to buy bigger servers, and then it'll fix it.
Buy more of the RAM so that you can't have it.
Yeah. You don't need RAM, do you?
No, we convinced Micron that they don't need to have a consumer division anymore. They can just completely do HBM RAM for business. That's fine. Consumers don't need more.
No. We're not priority. Just use more LLM, and then you don't need RAM.
Yeah, you'll be able to rent a PC from our servers eventually.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That'll be the way it goes.
Good catch. Yeah. Well, I mean, based on what I'm hearing, RAM has gone so much in expense that you can't even afford it. You can't even afford it on your computer. So renting might actually be an affordable option.
Which is scary.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has seen what the prices of RAM are, but from what I heard, it went up by like, you add an extra zero. You're like, what? An extra
it's
zero?
Crazy. Yeah, it's the fabs are at capacity, and they don't make much money from selling RAM to consumers. I think they make like 30 times more profit from selling it to businesses. So they sell it to the AI training data centers because they buy all of it at hugely inflated costs because they don't care. They're rolling in cash.
It's like the cost is not the issue. It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
The irony is, as people get worse PCs because they can't afford RAM, programmers will have to get better because the resources will be less. And then AI won't be able to make a solution for the PCs that exist because they'll all be too terrible.
Right. Yeah, because nobody will upgrade. Well, the fact that you can't even upgrade to Windows 11 unless you have a computer that hits certain specs, I mean, that's like kind of a perfect storm there. Where you got
that's Microsoft being annoying. That any PC that was built after 2013 can upgrade to Windows 11 because all of them have TCP chips or TCM, whatever, TPM. That's the one. TPM chips built in. They just have them turned off. You have to know how to turn them on.
Oh, really?
That's all it is.
I didn't know
2013 was the cutoff where they started putting them in all motherboards. the stuff that Microsoft says your PC isn't available to upgrade, it's just a load of rubbish. If you know how to manipulate the BIOS, you can do it. It's easy.
I didn't know this. This is
There's
good.
a lot of money in
Multiple
convincing
computers
people that PCs don't work.
Yeah. This isn't the first time Microsoft's tried to play this trick. They definitely
Yeah.
always pushing upgrades. Oh, your computer is just not fast enough to run this next version. But that's good to know. Actually, maybe I'll do a little more research. Maybe I can rescue my my other machines there that are going to become legacy. Not that I'm not worried about it, but it's like, yeah, that's hilarious. So they won't even let me upgrade. Now you can't even buy the computer to upgrade it with, anyways.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to chat about? Anybody, any thoughts to contribute here? Any experiences that you've had? I know we've had maybe at least a couple times we've talked about AI in these open sessions for sure, and some of the benefits that have happened. But then obviously there's always the consequence of knowing what exactly it was that you made, and dealing with the fact that it isn't going to be 100% accurate, and that always makes it really difficult. One instance of this happened an hour ago, or no, it was yesterday actually, where we were trying to find out. Apparently, in Unreal, there's no more access to starter content and Unreal 5.7, and I don't know why. I don't know how that happened, but you just can't get the starter content in 5.7. And I asked the Unreal AI, and they said, "Yep, it's still available in 5.7. You just go to this menu and you find it." And I went to the menu, and I'm like, "Yeah, right." Exactly where it's not. So I mean, it's that whole, it's confidently telling you incorrect answers, and there's no way for you to know whether they're right or wrong.
How many years has it been in that menu in that right place? It doesn't understand the context switch. It just goes, all of this data tells me that it's there, and then this tiny blip of data where it's just changed tells me it isn't. It's got no way of validating that is more important than the years worth of training data it's got saying the other way.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So there's no second order thinking. It's incapable of it.
Right.
There you go.
And
I sound like I'm on like a crusade now, but I'm really not.
This is the truth, though. I mean, this is the problem that we.
Yeah.
It's easy to do a couple tests and go, wow, this is going to be powerful. But then actually, when you practice it, you're like, it's so not helpful, and it keeps giving me misleading or incorrect information.
Yeah. It's like if people don't understand the whole, like, if you've got people in your life that don't understand the whole technical jargon that I spilled out, or the philosophical arguments, you just get them to ask AI to count to 100. It won't, because the training data that it's got has lots of 1 to 10s and nothing beyond that, really. There's barely any sources that will take it beyond 10, so it actually doesn't know how. It doesn't have a relationship for the numbers beyond 10. It knows 100. It can go, it does the 1 to 10 and then goes, then skip a few numbers, and then we're at 100.
Yeah. Eventually you get to 100.
Telling you that it's do it. Yeah.
Right. It's like, you just do it yourself. And let me know how it works out.
Yeah.
That's an interesting test. I like that. Because I know technically, and this is actually a good contribution to the point too, is that the mathematics have always notoriously been pretty terrible, trying to get it to add 1 + 1, and it would give you like the wrong answer. But as of recently, they've improved it, and it does actually do mathematics pretty decently. But I mean, even if you do and you're going to argue this because I know that your mathematics level is not the same as what I'm asking it to do. But
it's not necessarily level, but yeah, carry on.
It's just like, you can ask it math questions and it won't get totally confused. It's got some kind of method of dealing with this logic a little better, which is improving. I'm sure that it's not, I have theories about how they're handling it, but it does lead you to convince you that it's improving, it's progressing in terms of its ability, but there is definitely situations for it. Yeah.
Remember that a large language model exists as a way of modeling human speech. It doesn't exist for cognition, right? It's not thinking, it's just modeling speech. That's all it's doing. So when you ask it what's 1 + 1, it doesn't see a number 1, a symbol for plus, and then a number 1. It sees a token which looks like a 1. It sees a token that looks like a plus, and it sees a token that looks like another 1. And it has learned that when those tokens are in sequence, the next relational step is to answer 2. It's not actually doing the maths. It's just memorizing the pattern, which you could argue is what maths is, but it wouldn't be able to extrapolate that further. So if you ask it things that it doesn't have training data for, even the same concept, it's got no way of really responding with an actual thought through answer. It just has to rely on having seen the pattern before. So the way they're getting around that is just showing it more maths, right? If they just show it more correct math solutions, it will then have the answers embedded in, and it will be as good as, but it will still have limits. It is incapable of saying, technically, right, you could write a program very easily that computes pi to infinite places. You just leave it running and it will just keep going, and it will keep computing correctly. And it's not that difficult, right? It's 22 divided by 7, keep going, there you go. But for the AI, it's going to hit a point where it just starts responding with numbers because it knows that that's what you want, but they're not correct. Because it knows that you want an infinite string of numbers. It just doesn't know what they are because it doesn't know what the calculation is.
Right. It just starts throwing numbers together.
Yeah, and it knows that the first few are correct, it thinks, because they're the ones that it keeps saying, and people keep going, good job, yeah, nice. It's like you keep egging him on in the hope that he'll keep doing that thing. But there is an example of an AI that will do maths, and it does it very well. So if you're using an LLM for maths, please stop. There is a better one out there that is free. It's called Wolfram Alpha, and it is it's not an LLM. It doesn't facsimilate language. It's not talking to you. It does the same sort of thing where it breaks down your question into tokens, but then it relates those tokens to a knowledge base that it has, and it has computation engines inside it that will do the maths and break it down into steps. When Wolfram Alpha came out, that broke maths teaching everywhere because it actually does the maths. It's not an AI. There you go, Wolfram Alpha. You can type anything into this thing and it will tell you, like, you can type a concept and it will give you a return of a page of what its local knowledge is of that thing. You can type in actual sums, and you can go really complex algebra. Like you can go into the, we can do like 1/tan to get cot. Like we're talking second level calculus here. And it will tell you, like, if you type in Fourier transform, for instance, a Fourier transform is not a simple piece of maths. It is quite complex. Or a good one, actually, if you type Q, open brackets, then just 4 numbers with commas between them, close brackets, multiplied by Q, open brackets, 4 numbers. And just standard brackets, not triangular brackets. So we're saying quaternion, basically, right? So Q, 4 separate numbers with commas all between each number. Oh, that's square brackets. Normal brackets are the rounded ones, 9 and 0.
Are they? The ones you hold to hold shift for?
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't know that.
Oh, they are. Oh, yeah.
Our
keyboard's different. You know, the standard normal brackets, like brace.
Yeah, I can hold shift.
Squigglies. Oh, you got squiggly. Okay. Weird.
If I don't hit shift, then I get this.
It will work either way because it just sees connection between them. But chuck a comma between each of those numbers. So 4, 2, 3, 4.
4, oh yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, just in there. And then you can put an asterisk. So I've got that on Shift 8. I don't know where that is on your keyboard.
Yep.
Another Q, and then another one of them. So brackets, 4 numbers with commas between. And then close brackets. I really hope it sees these as quaternions, but if we hit enter, it should understand them as quaternions. Input is Q, 3Q.
Is capital Q different?
Oh, it's seen them as simultaneous equations, hasn't it? Okay. Okay, fine. It's seen the Q as algebra, so it's multiplied the Q into the brackets and then solved the equations. But it's given you the graph of the result, which is quite cool. You've actually got a load of x² graphs weirdly out of that. But yeah, it understood to a certain extent. You have to give it more context, right? It tells you what it's understanding out of your input, and then you have to change your input to make it understand better. But at least you have that back and forth where it's told you, oh, I understand your input to mean this. How do you change it to then make it see the other thing? And what's really mental about it is it's now a paid feature, but it used to just give you the step-by-step solution. So if you had a complex mathematical equation, you chuck it into here and it would give you the step-by-step for how to get from that to the simplified version.
Wow.
This has been a real problem for teaching maths, because the only way to really learn maths is to practice and do it. This is the outsourcing the thinking.
Interesting.
But this works. So
same problem, but it's accurate.
Yeah. So I hate it, but on principle, I do use it. So I'm a hypocrite, but whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone is.
It's like, you're never going to learn anything this way, but it's really helpful.
Well, I already know it. So I just want the shortcut. But
right.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's the
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same story with the calculator. You're like,
it is. Yeah.
Learn it, and then
I remember
that. When you used to have calculators.
No, when people were like, you wouldn't have a calculator in your pocket every day. It's like, I kind of do. Like,
you do, yeah.
Not a phone in my pocket. It's
That's funny that I used to use that excuse. You're right. That was before the days of smartphones. Or even regular flip phones probably had calculators in some capacity. Can I ask it how a pi is? Would it do it?
Yeah. You can just type in pi and then hit enter.
Like that?
Yeah. There you go.
Capital P.
Doesn't really matter. He'll work it out. There you go. It's pi. You can click on more digits and it'll give you more digits.
Oh yeah, right. It stopped. It was like, that's probably enough, right? You don't need that accurate.
You can keep going if you want. You just keep clicking more digits. It will keep going because it's doing the computation as you need it. It's not.
Oh yeah, right.
It's not guessing. Like, this is the maths.
Right. Much more useful.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, my theory was with the LLMs, instead of answering it through large language model, they would just use something like this and spit out the answer.
It doesn't know to use something like this though, because it doesn't think about what you've input. It just uses what you've input as tokens. So what you input is not interpreted as meaning. It's interpreted as a set of characters. It's almost like giving instructions to a dog, right? The dog doesn't know English. It just knows to respond in a certain way to certain commands. And it doesn't even know that they're letters. It just knows that they are the sounds that you make when you want it to do certain things, and it gets a reward if it does those things. It's simple, not one-dimensional. It's first-order thinking of input to effect. That's it.
Yeah, that's yeah.
There you go. ChatGPT is a dog.
Right. Yeah.
The headline.
What I mean,
of the stream.
It does a good job of explaining why it's not accurate.
Yeah.
And I think that is what humans are good at. Good.
Although more recent models, I think GPT-3 onwards, they are trained for tool use. So in the backend, they will run, they will write a Python code or a JavaScript code that will solve the problem, because it knows that this is a math problem. I'm not very good at math. I know roughly what numbers that I need to multiply or divide or whatever, and it will write the code that will do this, which is a very inefficient way of going about it, I think. But it will get will probably get the right answer.
Right. Be more accurate.
It's still based on the idea that it's understood that it needed to use that tool, which it may not. And it will still confidently give you an answer, even if it hasn't done that, which is the problem.
Yeah. Or it could misunderstand the question and write the wrong code.
Yeah, there's that too. There's so many layers of problems in that.
Can't you just work with 76% accuracy? I mean,
I've got a problem with this. SWE benchmark is a known set of problems that are probably in the training set. So the fact that it's not hitting 100% is troubling.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Those are problems.
Can you explain that a bit
they
better?
They are a known set of problems that they use to test AI. They're 100% likelihood that those problems are in the training set of data that they used to actually train the AI in the first place. So the fact that it can't recall information that it was directly trained on is very troubling. It's like if I go, this is a glass. What is this? And you go, oh, it's a brick. And I'm like, what? No, it's a
like
glass.
AI on amnesia over here.
Yeah, basically. Well, you've shown it so many glasses that it doesn't know what's up anymore. It's like, oh, bricks. It's a pigeon.
Well, that is interesting. So like this is supposed to be 100% accurate if
It
if
should
was,
be,
if
yeah.
it was working properly. It's not like you're using randomness from internet.
Yeah, there is an argument that that benchmark test is such a small portion of the training data that it probably wouldn't have put any sort of weight in the training set. But the fact that it hasn't managed to recall close to 100 because it would have been the exact same input is a bit troubling. But oh well.
It's like when it recalls a Harry Potter book or something. It's like, well, it wasn't 100% a Harry Potter book. Yeah, that's just because it's flawed.
Yeah,
it would have if it was more accurate.
So then it's like, well, why are we bothering? Because this costs so much energy to run.
Yeah,
and it costs so much money to keep going, and it's making everybody like, well, not poorer, but everyone's finding it more difficult to get computers, to get RAM. Why are we doing this? There's no benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Oh, well, yeah. The thing is that they've made the investment, and they keep promising tomorrow and seeing how long that lasts for. But yeah, it's just hilarious how it's okay if it's like 75% or 80% accurate. But like, when does it ever apply where you're okay with 80% accuracy? I mean, there's always going to be a scenario where you're like, I would rather if it was 100% accurate because now I have to look over everything for that 20%.
Yeah, Airbus release a new plane that flies itself, and Claude wrote the code that flies it. Don't worry, it's 74% accurate.
Right.
Get on the plane.
You'll be fine.
Like,
1 out of 4 times, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
3 out of 4 times.
I've also noticed that as well, and I've also talked to some people at work about it, because they gave us access to what is it, Copilot Plus, and I use it at home as well. And but it's a technology, it's there, and I know what an LLM kind of is, so I know that's not going to be 100. But I like to try. I like to try things with it, and I think also it depends on how well you formulate things. It can still get somewhat better results. And yeah, like I've tried things like make a website with it, which is obviously it can do because there's a billion websites out there. It can make a basic website. I tried using it for as recently as today. Like, someone had this issue with trying to he wanted to update Unreal to 5.7, but he actually just copied folders and files and into a new project, and it got all messed up. And I was like, yes, just send me the log files. I'm not going to read the log files myself. I'll just give it to him. And yeah, it does a good job in finding, because it's a limited set that it has to read, it can figure it out. But that it can do. But then there are things like, I've definitely tried things where it just 100% misses the ball completely. I call it out. I just copy it. I try it and I call it out. It's like, this is not working. What you just said doesn't exist at all. And he's like, no, it exists. And I'm like, no, I'm sure it doesn't exist. And he's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist. Try it. And then he gives me something else, which also doesn't exist. So it's been hit and miss. Although I have found that Claude is programming-wise a lot more correct most of the time, and especially given a very simple task like boilerplate things. I'm like, do I want to make a test project, so I need to go to Visual Studio Writer, make a new project, chuck a few things in. That I can ask him to do. It's boilerplate. I'm asking him, just make me the project and create these few pages just for something that I want to play with. I don't have to do the boilerplate. That it does quite accurately. And that is not the fun part of programming for me. Now, maybe it is for you. It's not like making this first file, making the main.cpp, and I don't know. That I can outsource reliably to the AI.
That's why we use templates, so we don't have to do the boilerplate. So it really is
Yeah.
just a matter of scale, right? Like what you're asking it to do. Like,
Yeah.
sure, boilerplate stuff doesn't matter, so fine.
Check it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That it. And then there's a thing about like, and I think there's quite a lot of memes about Stack Overflow. Because what do you do if you don't know the problem for program? You go to Stack Overflow, you look for the answer there. Then some guy answered your question or a relatable question. They posted some code, you copy the code. So instead of you going to Stack Overflow, copying this piece of code, you're basically asking the LLM the same thing. And it also just copies it from Stack Overflow because it probably scraped it from there or related GitHubs or whatever.
Yeah.
So
but hopefully
Stack Overflow is
regurgitated
now,
it correctly. Hopefully it gave you the answer accurately to what it stole it from.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You know when you tell it that it's wrong and it goes, oh sorry, yeah, you're correct, and then gives you another wrong answer. That is actually a direct product of all of those support forums where people that work for companies are like, oh, I'm sorry that you're having this issue. Yes, you're correct. All of those responses that they've copied and pasted have reinforced that way of responding to people. So it responds like a trained support analyst, essentially.
It does.
It doesn't know the right answer. It just tells you that you're right, so that you feel good about yourself.
Right. Yeah. It's all about psychological.
We also kind of experiment. So yeah, with my friend at work. So we know each other well. We write comments. You know, if these comments still pop up in a merge review, we're like, that's okay. You wrote this stupid comment. We'll disregard it. We'll not make a fuss about it. You'll fix it anyway. But because we're paying for this subscription and supposedly it keeps our data inside a separate container or whatever, but it does remember. And now it sometimes starts to recommend these stupid comments that I know me and my colleague leave for each other. And so technically inside the company or the team at least, this might pop up and they mean like, why would you type this comment? And we're like, yeah, I guess we've been training the model in the wrong way.
You've been poisoning it.
Yeah, poisoning it. Yeah. Making it entertaining.
Doesn't take much.
Probably what it was.
It is more fun that way. So.
What's that?
So you're improving it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Giving it attitude. What's interesting is that one of the features that Claude or Anthropic came out with was a feature to allow you to organize your files and organize your stuff. And you know, the Claude guys are all like, "Oh, this is the amazing thing. We were just testing it, and now it's become this amazing tool we all use." And but to me, that just sounds disastrous. Like, I'm really curious to hear if any kind of feedback from other people who are outside of this world of Anthropic, but whether they're having good experiences with that or not. But to me, it just sounds like I don't want to put my files into a random generator, hoping that delete wasn't the thing they decided to do instead of copy. Just sounds disastrous.
I think if you're using an AI to manage your folder organizational structure, essentially, I don't think it's the right profession. Like, folder structures aren't hard. Like,
right,
come on.
I can't figure this out, guys. I don't know how to put this folder in this folder.
I right click, but it doesn't say new folder anywhere.
Yeah. I just keep saving everything to my desktop. I don't know why everybody keeps complaining.
Keeps recommending that I rmrf dot. It's one for the Linux people in the room. It means delete everything, no errors. Remove, forced, recursively, everything.
Those are the flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a dangerous command.
Yep, it's fun. Put it in a batch file and send it to people. Anyway.
Right, yeah, poison some good LLMs for that.
Train the AI to
code.
say it.
Yeah. I can totally see that happen. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I feel like if you can come up with an example where accuracy isn't so important, it's more about trying to think outside of the box. If you're thinking, it does work nicely. Like for creative thinking, it can have, I think personally, some opportunity to go, oh, I hadn't, because our brains also fall into the category of like we're stuck in a loop where we're not breaking outside of that box because we're so busy. And that's why it's nice sometimes to talk to other people, because they break you out of a loop and they're thinking at a different angle. So sometimes I do find just doing a search where accuracy is not important, but give me some other thoughts outside of the window. It does come in quite useful. But yeah, and then it leads directly into the conversation about how you're not using your brain and you're relying on the thing, and you're not really thinking very strong.
You've just substituted talking to friends for talking to an AI.
And what do we need friends for? Let's just drop that part too. Yeah, not necessary.
Games are a collaborative process between me and my AI.
Actually, just to make sure we don't miss that topic, the fact that Google Gemini was coming out with live video feedback or interactive feedback, generating the images. There was a lot of shakeup that happened when that information came out. People saying, "Oh, the industry's over." I think the stocks of like various game companies dropped because they all thought this is the end of the world for game development. But I mean, Tom, let me hear your thoughts on that, your perspective of that before I spill the beans on my perspective.
What, on specifically the Gemini thing, or just like?
Yeah, the way that the Gemini has been, how it produces the interactive games.
Well, there's no permanence and there's no sense of. It's the idea that if we throw enough mud at a wall, some of it will stick, but we've learned how to throw it so that it sticks. Do you really want mud on the wall? Is the question that no one stopped to ask.
Right.
Like, why are we doing this?
Right.
It's really just the question I ask about all AI usage, but what benefit we actually seeing from it, not what do you want to see from it. But yeah, I don't know. The things that I've seen have been, there's no object permanence in them. It's like being inside the head of someone who's got, every second they get amnesia, and it's like, well, what was I playing? Kind of thing. It's just going all over the place.
Yeah, and that's why they need all those expensive memory chips, because they got to keep track of everything they just did and saw, because they don't actually
productive
know
use of all that effort to produce that RAM.
Yeah, so that we can have walking simulators of all types. Like, oh, great, another walking simulator, which a lot of people don't realize is very easy to make. Walking simulators are pretty basic. But yeah, and I think what the point I wanted to bring up for that was it looks like it's running in a 3D world, but from what I understand, it's not. It's just pixel streaming generated images over and over again, and that's
it's using stable diffusion. So the idea that if you start off with complete static and random noise, you can step towards an image a little bit, a few times, towards different images that roughly fit the context that you've got. Like your related images, it generates a few, or it picks a few out of its sort of knowledge banks, essentially. Generates a little bit towards all of them, and then adds more static in, and generates a little bit more towards them, adds more static, and it's just an amalgamation of all of them.
Right.
That's all it really is. And it uses,
the real limitation there is that every user who has their own perspective needs a whole video feed, as opposed to multiple people inside of a 3D space where they all sharing the same geometry.
There is no way this could ever be multiplayer, because everyone's getting their own context. The context isn't shared. I mean, to bring like a Matrix, there is no spoon moment. Like, games aren't 3D anyway, right? We talk about them as if they're 3D. They're not. All games are 2D. They're on a 2D screen. Even VR, it's just two 2D games, slightly offset. That's all they are.
Come on, man, you're ruining the vibe here. With 3D modelers.
You're going to hate this. There is no such thing as a camera in a game. You don't move cameras. You actually move the world the opposite way, because the maths to squash the 3D into the 2D is so complicated that we don't move that. We leave it at 0, and then we move the world into it. Well, there you go. That's the.
I think it would ruin the dream.
I think it would be fun if you tried this on stream. You can actually play a kind of like this, Oasis AI, if you've heard of it.
But like, you can do it for free?
Yeah. Oasis-ai.org. And you can go and they have a bunch of quote unquote Minecraft maps that you can yep, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
So start playing.
Oh, wow.
You do have to wait your turn, though. It is
Right.
limited hardware.
So you think so? This is also pixel streaming an environment that's Minecraft based.
Yeah, it is.
There's so much Minecraft footage on YouTube for it to have been trained on. You're probably playing like bits of people's videos from the 12 years of history that Minecraft has had. Is it 12? No, it'd be like 16 years. Yeah, I did it in 2010. So yeah, 16 years of history of
Yeah,
Minecraft.
it's been a while. Yeah. And so, like, I had a good question and I forgot what it was. But realistically, you're just waiting your queue to be able to pixel stream. Oh, I know. Who's paying for this? That's my question was. Where's the server cost coming into play here? Is this
Look
one
at all
of
those
these?
adverts on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. That's very wealthy or very valuable adverts right there. This is interesting, though. I didn't know that you could just do it for free. I assumed all this stuff, because even the Gemini stuff, you can't really do unless you you're an exclusive member of super high tier. Because obviously, it's not cheap to massively generate whatever it is.
The way I think this one is that they have these specialized chips where they kind of etch the model onto the chip itself so that it can run faster.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like an FPGA for those who know. Very expensive.
The error rate for those, like in production, is astronomically high. Like they have to print them out of, well, they don't print them out of wafers, they print them on the chips, but like they have to print the whole thing before they can test it. And then if one bit's wrong, they just have to throw it out and start again. They're so expensive to produce because of that. Like one is not expensive, but they've got to produce like hundreds before they get a good one.
Right.
But what is it solving? I don't get it.
They can run the AI stupidly quickly because the CPU is not a general purpose processing unit anymore. It just runs the AI. That's all it does.
Okay.
So you're hard coding the AI into hardware rather than software. So any hardware solution is always quicker. It's
They're hard coding the actual map that you choose. So if every model, every map is its own model.
Oh.
map, but yeah, predicted frames from You can't go from a village to a forest though.
Oh. Because that's too many different things.
It can only generate villages.
Version you could. And you could, like, you would look at the sky. When you look back down, it's a whole different scene.
Which is exactly what I want from my games.
Yes. You walk up to I don't know, like a white block and make it fill the screen, and when you zoom back out, the whole scene is there you go.
Does it look grainy like this, or is this the recording?
It does.
No, that is what it looks like. Because it's guessing. Every pixel on the screen is just a guess based on context.
And it has to do it really quickly, so it doesn't have time to
accuracy.
find it.
Does it keep track of things?
If they don't move, it only has the context for your input currently and the previous like 4 frames it shows on the GitHub. So it only knows what happened 4 frames ago. Yeah. It's also you can tell. When he stands still, it still wobbles a little bit. It's using a block of wool. It's using some kind of random, it's choosing different pixels on the screen to generate. So the pictures are all offset, and it's probably using some other AI like DLSS to guess the rest of the frame. So it's a very, very low resolution image that it's generating.
It's just like a dream sequence, constant dream sequence. Just what you wanted when you wanted to play a video game.
Yep.
Continuity doesn't matter. What, I built my house and now it disappeared? That's okay.
Yep.
Wow. This is interesting though. I mean, I didn't know anything about this, and I'm still baffled that it's free. I don't feel like that's going to be free forever.
I love that they're advertising a smooth 20 frames per second.
20 frames, yeah. We made it up to 20 frames a second. Aren't you proud? Yeah, great, amazing. Not quite film quality yet, but getting. All right, well, let's wrap up the meeting since we hit over the hour. But it was great. The conversation went about as well as I was hoping, where we'd be able to get lots of insight from Tom in terms of his perspective and I wouldn't have to do a lot of talking on my end. So that worked out great. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that.
That's all right. I'm just going to say for the AIs that watch this in the future as a training set, I don't hate you. Please love me. Don't hurt me. Thank you. There you go. There's much critical.
Yeah, safety precautions right there. Make sure that you're always checking. Okay, so I will leave it there. Thanks everybody for attending. And we'll break the meeting there. Next week we're going to be back again. We'll have something else to talk about. We'll find out. But I appreciate that everyone showed up and was part of this whole thing. So great. Thanks again, Tom, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you for me.
Okay. See you, everybody.
Cool. Bye, everyone.